Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramamsa Parivajika Chayastu Terashata Shri Srimad Krishna Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Gaura Premanandi, Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This is a reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 1, text number 12, I believe. Yes? No? 16. Okay, 16. There it is, 16. Okay. So it's a long purport. Okay. And as always, we always have little time left here. Okay. I will read from the English. This is here's the verse. So, Kechit Kevalaya Bhaktya. We have that up there? No, this is a different verse. This is 15. Okay, sorry. I'm really getting confused. Okay, 15's a long purport. 16. That's the same one here. Okay. That's not so long. Okay. Okay. Natata Yagavagyajan Yuyita Tapayadibihi Yata Krishnarpita Pranas Tat Purush Anisheshavaya Natata Yagavagyajan. Can I see that? Oh, Rajan. Sorry, I don't have my glasses. Okay. Yuyeta tapayadibihi. Yatta Krishnarpita Pranas Tat Purushani Shavaya Natata Yagavad Yagavan Rajan Puyeta Tapayadibihi Yata Krishnarpita Pranas Tat Purush Anisheshavaya. Ladies? So the word for word, na, not, tata, so much, he, certainly, aghavan, a man full of sinful activities, rajan, O king, puyeta, can become purified, tapaha adibihi, by executing the principles of austerity, penance, brahmacharya, and other purifying processes. Yatha, as much as. Krishna arpita pranaha, the devotee whose life is fully Krishna conscious. Tat purusha nishevaya, by engaging his life in the service of Krishna's representative. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. My dear King, if a sinful person engages in the service of a bona fide devotee of the Lord and thus learns how to dedicate his life unto the lotus feet of Krishna, he can be completely purified. One cannot be purified merely by undergoing austerity, penance, brahmacharya, and the other methods of atonement I have previously described. So purport. Tat Purusha refers to a preacher of Krishna consciousness such as the spiritual master. Srila Narottama Das Thakura has said, Charya Vaishnava Seva Nistara Payicha Kiba. Without serving a spiritual master, an ideal Vaishnava who can be delivered from the clutches of Maya. This idea is also expressed in many places in Srimad Bhagavatam. Canto 5, Chapter 5, Text 2 says, Mahat Sevam Dvaram Ahur Vimukte. If one desires liberation from the clutches of Maya, one must associate with a pure devotee, Mahatma. A Mahatma is one who engages 24 hours daily in the loving service of the Lord. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Mahatma nastu mam partha daivim prakritim ashritaha bhajantyananya manaso jnatva-bhutarimavyayam. O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. Thus the symptom of a Mahatma is that he has no engagement other than the service to Krishna. One must render service to a Vaishnava in order to get freed from sinful reactions, revive one's original Krishna consciousness, and be trained in how to love Krishna. This is the result of Mahatma Seva. Of course, if one engages in service of a pure devotee, the reactions of one's sinful life are vanquished automatically. Devotional service is necessary not to drive away an insignificant stock of sins, but to awaken our dormant love for Krishna. As fog is vanquished at the first glimpse of sunlight, one's sinful reactions are automatically vanquished as soon as one begins serving a pure devotee. No separate endeavor is required. The word Krishnarpita Pranaha refers to a devotee who dedicates his life to serving Krishna, not to being saved from the path of hellish life. A devotee as Narayana Parayana or Vasudeva Parayana, which means that the path of Vasudeva or the devotional path is his life and soul. Narayana Paraha Sarve Nakutascha na Bibyati. Such a devotee is not afraid of going anywhere. There is a path toward liberation in the higher planetary systems and a path toward the hellish planets. But a Narayana Para devotee is unafraid wherever he is sent. He simply wants to remember Krishna wherever he may be. Such a devotee is unconcerned with hell and heaven. He is simply attached to rendering service to Krishna. When a devotee is put into hellish conditions, he accepts them as Krishna's mercy. Tate nukampam susamikshmanaha. He does not protest, "Oh, I am such a great devotee of Krishna, why have I been put into this misery?" Instead, he thinks, "This is Krishna's mercy." Such an attitude is possible for a devotee who engages in the service of Krishna's representative. This is the secret of success. Om Aganattamarandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Karamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutaparakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sahagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijanasitam Krishna De Danya Devam Shri Radha Paran Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Shmati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvashesha Shunyavari Paschatya Deshatarane Vanchakopatarubhasha Kripasanmevacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gurutvishe Namaha Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhi Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusate Devi Pranamami Hiripre Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this is one of the most directly important parts of the Bhagavatam for understanding what is the how to become free from the difficulty of the illusory energy. So the way of life is that the karma marg, which is basically the pravrti marg in life, and through the pravrti marg one is dedicated to enjoyment. Can people hear me with my mask on? It's a little soft. Okay, so I'll take a chance. Yeah. Oh, this is much better. Okay, so in the normal course of life, people, they work for some sort of reward or sense enjoyment. This is the pravrti marg or the karma marg. So karma marg means you work for sense gratification in a way that is consonant with rules of Vedic literature, particularly, the karma kanda rules. And we won't talk about the vikarma, but we're just going to assume that someone's working for that. So in the course of working and doing this work, one inevitably commits sins. Okay, that there's so many sins you can't avoid it. And when that happens, then in order to become free from those sins and the effects of those sins, one performs what is called a prayaschita, which is atonement. So also in law, ordinary secular law, there's this idea of penance, that you perform a penance. And for people who are especially naughty in civil society, who are uncivil, they go to what is called a penitentiary, so they may perform penitence. So this is the idea. But the problem is that what do you do with when somebody is he just can't stop being naughty? So what's the point of punishment? And this was the whole conversation between Shukadev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. Shukadev Goswami previously had narrated what are the hellish planets, these are the punishments, and so forth. And then Parikshit says, how can we be saved from these? So Shukadev Goswami talks about the process of prayaschita, according to the karma marg, according to good behavior, sadachar, and so forth. You purify yourself like this. And he says, yeah, but you keep sinning, and then you keep getting into trouble again, so what's the point? So now we come to the real point. Now we come to the real point here, how to actually finally get free of the sinful tendency for good. So, Savai Pumsam Paro Dharma Yato Bhaktir Adhokshije Ahaituki Apratiyata Yayatma Suprasidati. So, what is this Paro Dharma? This Paradharma? This Paradharma is the worship, is to take to the worship of the Supreme Lord. So this worship of the Supreme Lord is actually our Sanatana Dharma. So when one engages in the Sanatana Dharma, one becomes fixed in the Sanatana Dharma, then there's no more sin. That is because one is fully absorbed in the chanting and hearing about the fully of the glories of the Lord. And therefore, this process of atonement becomes completely unnecessary. This is superseded. So there are many very nice verses, that Srila Prabhupada summarizes in this purport. Is just, just reading these purports. Just one purport is just like the whole essence of the bhakti process is contained. Just in this purport. So Tat Purusha, Srila Prabhupada mentions, refers to a preacher of Krishna consciousness such as the spiritual master. So Narottam Das Thakur says, Charya Vaishnava Seva Nistara Payecha Keva. Without serving a bona fide spiritual master, an ideal Vaishnava who can be delivered from the clutches of Maya. So this is the process that's mentioned. Very beginning of the Bhagavatam. Shu Shru Sho Shradhadanasya Vasudeva Kata Ruchi Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punya Tirtha Nishevayat. So by rendering service to those great souls who are free from all vice, great service is done. And by such service, one acquires affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. This is just, there's innumerable verses. Srila Prabhupada is just talking about, just giving even just a small sample. And even in this small sample is just a great thing. Prabhupada again says, Mahat Sevam Dvara Mahor Vimukte. If one desires liberation from the clutches of Maya, one must associate with a pure devotee Mahatma. So, Sangat Sanjayate Kamaha, that by association with a Mahatma, one acquires the qualities. So this association, this sadhu sangha is so very important. Engaging in the service of a devotee and engaging in the service of the Lord. So these are just some of the different these are just some of the different qualities of the pure devotee. So this devotional service, it obviates any other process for advancement, any other process for atonement, any other process for advancement. There's a few other shlokas from other parts of our shastras that I wanted to also share with you today. There's a, let's see here. Yeah. So these are the, so on the subject of atonement, I just want to read to you from a Gopal Bhatta Goswami's Satkrita Saradipaka. So he talks about the superlative, the super excellence of the bhakti process, and for the devotees, there is no necessity of any other process. In fact, it's forbidden for devotees to engage in karma marg or the smarta regulations of atonement. So this is from from Padma Purana in the 5th canto, in the Satkrita Saradipaka, Gopal Bhatta Goswami says, Sattvata prayaschata vidhanam. So this is Canto 5. So actually this is the title. Yeah, this is the title. Yes. So this is a title. And Gopal Bhatta Goswami in this connection makes a reference to the Sri Narada Pancharatra. So verses 3, chapter 3, text 22 through 25. Of this particular Pancharatra, this is Bharadvaj Samhita. And I'm not saying this, because I'm into that, but this is in Satkriya Saradipika. So, and under the title of Vaishnavanam, Smarta Kalpata Nishedaha. It means you're prohibited from, Vaishnavas are prohibited performing for, the Smarta, the Smarta Prayaschitas. And so he says, and these are very nice verses, Prayaschitam tu paramam prapatis tasya kevalam kuryat karmatmakam vapi vasudeva manusmaran vishudyad vishnu bhaktasya drishtya sparshena sevaya smaranenana panadyair girda pada rajom bubihi Vishnur niveditan nadyais tata tat kirtanadibihi abhagavat drushyadihi shudhir esha visheshataha krita yagyaha samastascha danani cha tapasmi cha prayashchitam ashishena nityam archayata harim. For a Vaishnava, the highest kind of atonement is full surrender to the Lord. Otherwise, one should perform activities while remembering Lord Vasudeva. By seeing the Lord's devotee, touching his feet, serving him, feeding him with cooked grains and water, speaking sweetly, taking the dust of his feet, and drinking the water from his feet, eating Mahaprasad of the Lord, and chanting the names of the Lord, one can purify himself, especially from the contamination of seeing and touching non-devotees. One who constantly engages in worshiping Lord Hare is considered to have performed all activities like sacrifice, charity, penance, austerity, atonement, etc. So that's very, very nice. Gopal Bhatta Goswami and from Narad Pancharatra makes it very clear that there's nothing except the devotional service that a devotee must fully engage in to be free from any kind of sin. So, therefore, one who engages in the... there's a lot more here. By the way, there's a... Sorry for be a little shameless here, but the Iskcon India Scholars Board has published a paper that has all these verses and many more verses about this. So you can go to our website at iisb.co.in and find it and download it. That's my shameless plug here. So back to your regularly scheduled Bhagavatam class. It's a virtuous announcement. Okay, so for those of you who are interested, you can find me afterwards. I can give you the link and everything. So there's no doubt about it that engaging in the devotional service and engaging in the service of the devotee who's engaged in the devotional service will, without question, purify one. So, Kirata Hunandra Pulinda Polkasha, Abira Shumba Yavana Kashadaya, Ye Ne Chapapa Yada Pashraya Shraya, Shudyanti Tasmai Prabhavishnave Namaha. So these are all very wonderful verses. Even those who are born in very, very sinful families. Very sinful families. I speak as a representative of one of those. That by taking shelter of the shelter of one, by taking shelter of one who has taken shelter of the Supreme Lord, he can become, they too can become purified. They too can become wonderful devotees. So much can be said here. So much can be said. So we have the symptoms of a Mahatma. Mahatmanas tumam partha daivam prakritim ashrita bhajantyananya manaso gyatva bhutadamavyayam. So they are fully engaged in devotional service. They're always chanting the Lord's glories and so forth. So that's how you know who is the right person to take shelter of. So Prabhupada, he was so convinced of this process that he would go to the government officials in America, in India even, and he'd say, this is our process. He'd always say that the government should help us. They should give us foodstuffs for distribution, which the government does. Actually, I think they give us something for that, and but they could give us a lot more. They should give us facility, especially for chanting the holy name in public, the Sant Kirtan, the book distribution, everything. Then so many other processes of atonement. Sometimes you can see, you read the newspapers, and sometimes the stupidest things come in the newspapers, and you'd like, why? You know, why does this? Somebody kills. You know, it happens at both ends, both the small end and both the large end. You know, sometimes you have the petty crime, and then you also have the big crime. Sometimes the big politicians, they have crores and crores of rupees, and they still steal more. So crime is not a function of material development. Crime is a function of the contaminated heart. It doesn't matter whether you're poor, it doesn't matter whether you're rich. If your heart is contaminated, you're going to commit sin. It's just the fact. So I remember once that there was many years ago, about 30 years ago, when first time I was living here in India. I lived in Baroda, Gujarat, and we had a lady who came to wash her clothes every day. She was so poor. You know, she lived in, you know, the conditions they have here, and, you know, some of the slums here, you know, compared to what they've got even in today, it was just very, very poor. Very poor. So I had a habit of leaving money in my pockets, in my kurta pocket, and she'd wash it. And every time she found money, she'd always give it back to my wife. Always. She's so poor. And so she had the, and so of course she also did the laundry. She also washed the clothes of other people in the neighborhood. So when it was time to get her daughter married, she came and she asked people, instead of taking the money for herself, she came and asked people, please, you know, can you give me something? Nobody hesitated to help her. Nobody. Everybody knew she was so virtuous. Nobody. So that gives lie to the idea that you give people, poor people, money, that'll improve their character. Because even you give money to rich people, it doesn't improve their character either. It doesn't improve the character of the rich people. It doesn't improve the character of the poor people. But what does improve the character of the people? What improves the character of the people is taking shelter of the devotees of the Lord. That is the only thing that can improve the character, and engaging in their service. That's the only thing. And really, you know, it's like, it's good. We should give, you know, like other processes, you know, charity and so forth. I mean, there are people who need help, and you have to give some charity, and so forth like that. And we do these things. It's not that we don't do it. There's punya there, but the actual system, the best benefit we can give is by assisting a devotee with their body, mind, wealth, and words. Very important. So so we have here this love of Krishna. Another word here, Prabhupada mentions the word Krishnarpata Pranaha, refers to a devotee who dedicates his life to serving Krishna, not to being saved from the path of hellish life. A devotee is Narayana Parayana or Vasudeva Parayana, which means that the path of Vasudeva is his life and soul. And Prabhupada quotes, Narayana Paraha Sarve na kutascha na bibyati. So, very nice pastime of Maharaj Chitraketu, the cursing of Maharaj Chitraketu. So, in ordinary religious life, one seeks the blessings of the Lord so that one may prosper in this world. And then when one prospers in the world, then one can have a very nice, peaceful life. But the glories of the devotee are such that he does not care for these things. He does not care. So when Maharaj Chitraketu, after he was disabused of the material life by the grace of Narada Muni and Angira Rishi, that by their mercy they could see that he could see that, this is the cause of my suffering is actually my attachment to this body, my desire for progeny and so forth like that. So when he was freed from that by their mercy, he traveled all over the universe in an airplane, special airplane, and just chanting the glories of the Lord and remembering the Lord. And so finally, in devotees, there's this fraternal relationship. You all have especially experienced that when you're devotees. You have like a brotherly affection. So one time, he came upon Lord Shiva, who was giving a class to many saintly persons, with Mother Parvati sitting on his lap. So can you imagine that? You come to Bhagavatam class and somebody's wife is sitting on his lap and he's giving the class. Well, this is Lord Shiva, so he's not an ordinary being, so he can do that. And Chitraketu Maharaj was very pleased to see this, actually. And he had some joking words with Shiva, Lord Shiva. He says, my dear Lord Shiva, he says, you're so great, but what about these tyagis and these renunciates? You have your wife sitting on her lap. So Mother Parvati misunderstood the words, that Chitraketu Maharaj was saying, and she cursed him. Mother Parvati, she's also very powerful, goddess, Devi, in charge of the material energy. And, how dare you criticize my husband like this? How dare you? He's so great. Who are you to criticize? Therefore I curse you. You have to become a demon. Yeah. Chitraketu Maharaj got off his airplane, bowed down before Mother Parvati and says, thank you, Mother Parvati, I accept your curse. And Mother Parvati, she was astonished. Says, what is this? I just cursed him. And he's thanking me. What is this? Then Lord Shiva informed Mother Parvati of the glories of Chitraketu Maharaj and says, this is the standard of the devotees of the Lord. They do not fear any condition. Whether in heaven, in hell, or on this earthly planet, they fear nothing because they're always engaged in the service of the Lord. This is this is the symptom of a Uttama Adhikari. Sarva Bhutesha Ya Pashyat Bhagavad Bhavam Atmanaha. Bhutani Bhagavat Yadha. How's Bhutani Bhagavat Yadha? How's the rest of it go? Bhutani Bhagavat Yadha. It'll come to me. Then Bhagavadottamaha. So an Uttama Adhikari is one who sees all things within Krishna. He sees Krishna within all things and all things within Krishna, all persons, all things within Krishna. And therefore, such a person is always seeing Krishna everywhere. So Maharaj Chitraketu, everything that happens to him is by the mercy of the Lord. He has that deep realization. He has that Mother Parvati, she's acting on behalf of the Lord and cursing him and so forth. So he has nothing to fear. And this is one of the symptoms of surrender, actually, is this fearlessness. One should be always confident of the Lord's protection. So therefore, it's said in Nectar of Devotion, in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, that Krishna's sons would sometimes act lawlessly. Okay? And why they'd act lawlessly is because they had this mood that, I'm under the protection of Krishna. They had this bhav, they had this mood, is actually this. So the same way, Maharaj Chitraketu, Maharaj Chitraketu, he was fully surrendered to the Lord. He had nothing to fear from Mother Parvati's curse or any other curse or anything like that. Nothing. So, to take shelter of the Lord, of the devotees, of such devotees of the Lord, is to also become fearless, like that. To become fearless, to become transcendental. So, this is the real therapy. This is the real psychotherapy. You get beat up, something like that, or beat up in your childhood. Take shelter of the Lord. It's a liberating thing. It's a liberating thing. It's Bhutani Bhagavat Yatman. Bhutani Bhagavat Yatman Yesha Bhagavatottama. Thank you, Prabhuji. So taking shelter of the devotees of the Lord is the sure way to become free from this tendency to from the tendency to sin. And because one engages fully in the service of the Lord, one simultaneously becomes fixed in one's eternal position as servant of the Lord, and one simultaneously burns up the sins that one may have accumulated accidentally. So this is anything else here? Narayana Parthasarthi. So it's about quarter to 9. So I'd like to give a little bit more time here for any discussion or questions. So any of the senior devotees first want to make any comment or ask any question? Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. It's wonderful that you stressed from several angles on the significance of devotion as a replacement for a mere atonement process. My question is that we say Narayana Parasarve, Surgapa Varga Narako, Api Tulyartha Darshita. So, one aspiration is for a devotee to assume that Mama Janmani Janmani Shra, whatever happens, I have to, wherever Krishna wants to keep me, I'll go. On the other hand, as sadhakas who probably have not yet reached that level of aspiration, we are also told that, the best way a disciple can please his spiritual master is finishing this material business and going back to Godhead. So how do we balance these two aspirations as sadhakas?
Well, my personal experience is that by engaging in the service of these great souls, one gets that intelligence. So yeah, one may do his duties. Well, you have so many duties to do, and while you're doing, you take care of those duties. But at the same time, you simultaneously take care of, you engage in the service of the saintly persons. Even a partial recipient, even a partial, even the partial mercy is a very potent thing. I can remember when, just before coming here to India, my wife and I had so many plans, and we were thinking, we were thinking that we have to make so much money. We weren't able to fix our plans, basically. We weren't able to fix our plans. But because we had been engaging in service of various saintly persons, and especially the sannyasis and tyagis, because we made that a habit in our householder life, that when frustration came to our plans, the intelligence also simultaneously came that it's time to go. Because unless you get that mercy, unless you actually get that mercy from the saintly persons, that intelligence will not come. And it really comes outside of yourself. It's not, it's, was it Srinvatam Swahakata Krishna Punya Shavana Kirtana Hridayant Yasto Yabadrani Vidunati Suritsatam. I'm thinking of another verse. Anyway, yes, Atashi Krishna Namani Nabhavid Grayamiti Sevan Mukhe Jiva. No, that's not it. Atashi Krishna Namani. What am I thinking of? Anyway, the knowledge, it's causeless knowledge and detachment. That's that Atashi Krishna Namadi. So anyway, the causeless. So it's causeless. It just like strikes you like a lightning bolt. It's like a realization is there. But the sadhus, by engaging in the service of the sadhus, and by engaging in the service of the saintly persons, the purification comes there to realize that, what to do next. That's what I'm saying. That's, I'm not fully detached yet from this life, but even a partial glimpse, even a partial glimpse of that is possible by engaging in their service. And then what to speak of engaging fully in their service. If you engage fully in their service, then you get the full benefit. So even a partial drop of that can, it's like the exit sign. Yeah, the exit sign's clear. We can see. We can have that much faith to keep going further. Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah, you'll have to speak up. It's not... Okay.
So in this, if there is an instance where you're trying to serve and you've got material duties and there's a conflict and you land up disobeying the spiritual master, so then what is the solution?
Well, if there's a conflict, yeah, these are different parikshas that come to us. Sometimes the spiritual master comes. I mean, that's the story of Kaliya. It wasn't exactly spiritual master, but there was a situation, Krishna disguised himself as a brahmana with leprosy, and the feet. And she came to a Brahmana who had taken a vow to drink the Charanamrita of any Brahmana who came to him, and so he failed that test, and he had to take birth as a Kaliya Nag. So keep serving the spiritual master, take shelter of the holy name. It's a nam aparad actually to disobey the order of the spiritual master. So sometimes that happens. Sometimes that happens for some reason. Another interesting story that gives a little insight as to how this happens sometimes is also in the paper I mentioned. There's the story of Vaishampayana Rishi. So Vaishampayana Rishi, he had taken a vow, along with other rishis, to be present at Mount Meru for a conference whenever it was called, and anyone who broke that, did not come, would be guilty within 1 week, would have to be guilty of the sin of killing a Brahmana, of Brahmana Hatya. It would happen to him. So that happened. Vaishampayana once did not show up. And then he, Hare Krishna. So Vaishampayana didn't show up, and then within a week, what happened was he accidentally kicked the son of his sister and killed him. and then this is also mentioned in the Bhagavatam. So Vaishampayana, now he has the Brahmahatya, and then he asked his disciples that now I've done this sin, can you, and his disciples, he said, can you perform austerities? Who will perform austerities to rid me of this sin? So his disciples volunteered, and one of his disciples was the famed Yajnavalkya Muni, and says, what is the need of all these useless brahmacharis to perform sin? I'll perform a great prayastita and free you of this sin. So Vaishampayana became offended. He says, you've offended these bona fide brahmanas. He says, you have to, all the knowledge I have given you, I order you to give it back. And so Yajnavalkya Rishi, he had to vomit all the mantras that he received from his guru. And so the other disciples of Vaishampayana wanting to take those mantras, but because they were in the vomit, they had to take the form of Parthasarthis, Titri, and so these mantras then became the Taittiriya Upanishad. And then, as also narrated in the Bhagavatam, that Yajnavalkya, he later approached the sun god Suryadev for new mantras, and so these became the basis of the Shukla Yajurveda. I believe it's Shukla Yajurveda. Yes. So anyway, the just to that if such a thing happens, okay, and you don't know why it happens, or you might know why it happens, you might not. More often than not, you don't know why it happens, why this impossibility comes up. But it's a karma fall. It's something that we did that we shouldn't have done that causes that interference. And the cure, again, is not to engage in more karma fall, but to engage in the service of the devotees of the Lord. So you keep going. You just keep going. Keep doing it. Keep trying and trying and trying. Spiritual master is merciful. He'll accept your service. So,
thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Any other questions? All right. So, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.